So it's relatively difficult to really put it into two parts, like bottom up and top down, because there are always like feedback loops. But basically, I think it's a good definition, like the bottom up models are simply the models explaining why from the cochlea or starting from the cochlear nucleus, signal is sent up towards the cortex. And on the other hand, I think the top down models are the models explaining how the signal is interpreted and how the signal is suppressed, potentially coming from the top stations of the brain and suppressing the upward stream of the signal. As in tinnitus, most tinnitus studies like focused on the subcortical nucleus, like the dorsal cochlear nucleus and the inferior colliculus. And these measurements showed that in tinnitus, there is an increased spontaneous activity. And this signal is sent up to the cortex, but this signal which is sent up to the cortex does not explain why we really perceive a tinnitus. It explains only that we have a neural hyperactivity, but the signal has to be interpreted, and the brain or the cortex has to interpret it and say, this is a tone. And that's why we have to understand, on the one hand, where does the signal come, which is misinterpreted? And this is coming from bottom up. But on the other hand, the interpretation is a top-down process. It's always better to understand the whole system to find possibilities to intervene in the system. So personally, I'm convinced if we can, for example, stop the bottom-up processes by some interventions, also the misinterpretation from top-down can be changed. But on the other hand, potentially also the understanding of the top-down process gives us a door, opens us a door where we can go and find some therapeutic approaches, potentially through some stuff like transcranial, magnetic stimulation, and so on. So yeah, in Erlangen, we developed the idea we developed the model of central noise or stochastic resonance, that the neural system adds neural noise in order to bring subthreshold signals, to lift them over the threshold. And this neural noise we try to replace by some auditory noise, which means we add some noise, auditory noise, to the signal via a hearing aid. And what is happening, potentially, this replaces the neural noise and therefore stops this mechanism that creates this neural hyperactivity, which is interpreted as tinnitus in the cortex. So we did a pilot study, and the first results are promising, and we now go to clinical trials, also in cooperation with a hearing aid company, and try to further improve the approach, improve the noise we present, and hope in the clinical trial we get even better results. So that's just a hope, but we are optimistic. Yeah, so the idea of our therapeutic approach is to replace the central noise, which is internally generated and is potentially one part of the tinnitus correlate. And this internally generated neural noise is potentially produced because there is less cochlear input due to a hearing loss. And this subthreshold signal is lifted over the threshold by adding neural noise. And this neural noise, which you add internally in your brain, could be potentially a correlate of tinnitus. But we hope that we can replace this internally generated neural noise with externally generated acoustic noise. And we present this via a hearing aid, really near the hearing threshold, so it's not disturbing at all. And we really hope that this replaces the internally generated neural noise and really suppresses tinnitus by that. So that's our hope. And the first pilot study showed that there is a potential effect of this external acoustic noise And we hope now in a clinical trial that we can confirm our results, and we work together with a hearing aid company and program hearing aids now to present this threshold near acoustic noise to suppress the tinnitus perception.